Okay, since I started playing Dice Masters a few months ago, I've been kind of motivated to do some videos to help people out that may be getting into the game or casual players like me that want to learn a little bit more about the mechanics of the game. So thought I'd try and make a video on one of the important aspects of starting out is when you're building your team or your deck. And the first thing I want to touch on is determining your win condition. It's one of the most important things you want to do when building your deck because it's how you win the game. It's how you do well. It's how you win the game, and you can't just throw together 8, 10 cards and roll them out there and beat other people. You've got to have some sort of plan going in order to be successful. Now that includes even casual games. Tournament games are a completely different animal, and there's a lot of stuff going on in those. But even for your casual matches with your friends, or in my case with my kids, you want to have some sort of win condition in your head. You can't just say I'm going to line up my 3 Hulk dice and send them across for 8 damage each, and the game's going to be over. It just doesn't quite work out that way. If you're playing against people that you can do that against, you probably want to find some different competition because they're not challenging you, and you're not really learning the in-depth mechanics of how to play the game. So what I've got here is a deck that I played in a local tournament at a store that is it's called a little cup, but it's mainly starters and commons. So there are no green, yellow, or red stripes. They're all gray stripes. So these are easily available. Most of them are Dungeons and Dragons. They're 2 Yu-Gi-Oh cards. The 3 Yu-Gi-Oh cards, excuse me. But these aren't hard to find, and it's not an overpowered combination. It's not a super deck. It's not going to go out and win any worlds tournaments or PDCs or anything like that. But I want to use it as an example of at least my thinking when I'm putting together a team to play against people. So, first big step is your win condition. And in this case, the win condition is the combination of the Beholder and the Blue Dragon. And this is the Beholder Master Aberration and the Apprentice Dragon. And really, depending on how things are going in your game, if you've already got a Blue Dragon fielded, you get the Beholder out. If your opponent's lost a little bit of life, game's just about over. I'm not saying you're guaranteed to win, but for the most part, it gets ugly fast. And the reason for that, if you read the Beholder's text, this is the first die assigned to attack this turn. You may immediately use each of the basic action dice abilities without burst once, as if you'd rolled these dice. Now you'll notice Beholder is a 7 cost mask. Fairly low fielding cost, though, 1 with a 6/5 attack defense. So, it's going to be expensive to purchase him, but he's not going to be overly expensive to get in the field. What I tend to have happen is I would buy him and then use Polymorph to get him into the field. This is one of the better basic actions of any of the Dice Master sets. So I highly recommend if you haven't checked it out, it's very helpful. If you have a sidekick fielded, you got somebody in your use pile, you roll this basic action on an action phase, you can swap them in. There's lots of other fun things you can do with it, but that's in a nutshell, at the base level, what you want to use it for. So, game plan. You roll Beholder out, you run through your 4 basic actions, Polymorph, Resurrection, and whatever your opponent has. Then, the Blue Dragon comes into play. While active, when you use an action die's ability, choose an opposing character. That character cannot block this turn. Well, so you've pushed Beholder out to attack. He's rolling along. He's run through the 4 basic actions. And now you push your Blue Dragon out to attack. Now, grab one of them just for demonstration purposes. Blue Dragon can now say, since you used 4 basic actions, you can choose 4 players, 4 dice on the other team that cannot block. And yeah, you'll face some people that have walls of dice, whether they be sidekicks or whatever. And you'll probably have a couple other people fielded as well. So it's not just going to be your Blue Dragon that's coming across. It could be some of your other dice as well. Well, now you've basically said that 4 characters cannot block. And maybe they have some sidekicks hanging around. Well, it also has the breath weapon. Pay 1 to deal 1 damage to your opponent and all creatures. Well, there went the sidekicks. Unless they're buffed up, they're taken out. So now you've got, 3 or 4 blockers that now can't block. You've got a beholder. Let's say we rolled him in. We polymorphed him in. So he's at 0-4-3. And I've just got the dragon at a low level. So right now, you're able to waltz across for 8 points of damage right to the opponent. Right to his face. 4 from each. That you can't stop it with Mara. And like I said, if you've maybe got another blue dragon fielded, say it's this one, and you've got a baby dragon or two. We're not throwing out a bunch of big damage dice here, but we've thrown out 17 points of damage right there with 5 attackers. It can't be blocked. The opponent could do some other fun stuff to stop them from getting across or whatever, but that's kind of your win condition. That's the base here. That's what you're looking to set up, is to get your blue dragons out and then get your one beholder out. And really, you don't have to worry about his global being used against you. I can't think of a time when I would want to use that. Maybe someone else can. But that's just your win condition. That should be step 1 into building your deck. Now, you're having trouble getting the beholder out. You can't roll whatever. You need to have a backup plan. The renowned wordsmith Mike Tyson said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, that's true for Dice Masters as well. You need to have some sort of backup plan in case what you're doing either isn't going to work or you're not getting the rolls you need to make it work. So, for that regard, I have Red Dragon, I have Red Eyes Bee Dragon, and enough. I had 3 Blue Dragon dice. Just if I need to, I can start pinging across with the breath weapons. In the tournament I was in, I didn't have to field the Red Dragon. I mainly brought it along for its global. I didn't really use the Red Eyes Bee Dragon. Mainly was using some of the other dice, the Morphing Jar, the Baby Dragon, the Halfling Thief, and the Half Dragon, mainly just to cut the cost of fielding my Blue Dragon, or purchasing my Blue Dragons. So, you got to have some other ideas. Blue Dragon's breath weapon. If you need to grab Red Dragon, you can. Red Eyes Bee Dragon, if they're running a bunch of sidekicks, or you've been rolling a bunch of sidekicks, you grab him. When he attacks, knock out all sidekicks. This monster gets +2 attack for each sidekick knocked out in this way. Hey, maybe what happens? You have to you use an action dice. Now you have someone out of the way. Blue Dragon breath weapons clear some sidekicks. Now you've got Red Dragon's fielded. When he attacks, he clears out sidekicks and gets +2 attack. Oh, if he's coming across in his, let's go with his level 1 face. He's 5/5. You drop 2 sidekicks, which is adding 4 to him. The opponent loses a sidekick or 2. That's another +2, +4. He's coming across pretty big. And if you find a way to give him Overcrush or something like that, or a way to get him across without running into blockers, which if you used an action dice, there may not be anybody left to stop him, you're hitting pretty hard. So again, you have to come up with some other way to get through your opponent. Just keep in mind when you're building your decks, have a win condition in mind. Have some way to win the game. And then come up with a second way. Okay, if plan A is not working, you need a plan B. And if they're stopping plans A and B, you're kind of in trouble, but you maybe get some lucky rolls and things work out for you. What I'll do in another video is put together a couple of the favorite win conditions. Nothing too crazy. I'm trying to keep these, like I said, for casual players, not people that have super rare Serenas or a ton of AVX cards. People that maybe just getting into the game that want to come up with some easy win conditions. I'll throw one out real quick from the latest set with the Amazing Spider-Man set. You've got Silver Sable and the uncommon Vulture. Silver Sable can sacrifice herself to make a character unblockable. Vulture adds 4 attack when someone leaves the field area. So if Silver Sable makes him unblockable, he's just got his attack boosted 4 because of his abilities, and he can go straight through. But that's just that's an easy one. There are a couple other ones I'll try and put together for you guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment, give me a like. I'll be posting more of these. In addition to win conditions, the next thing we're going to talk about is ramp. And as you can see, I've got the morphing jars and the baby dragons and the halfling thieves out there. I'll explain why I brought those along, and what the purpose of those were. Not necessarily to have them in the field, but how they helped my team and what my thinking was bringing them along. Thanks.